Many people aren't a fan of microtransactions in video games, but it's now a staple of the gaming industry that you can buy in-game items with real money. Free-to-play games need a way to monetize themselves, otherwise development would be practically impossible. So it's easy to understand why many developers take this route. These games, especially multiplayer ones such as Apex Legends, have running costs, server upkeep and developers to pay. But how can they do that when their game is free? Purchasable cosmetics, skins for characters and weapons. For the most part, this doesn't cause problems, it doesn't affect gameplay. What can cause problems is a AAA title with an upfront cost of $60, also having a battle pass system, purchasable loot boxes and in-game currency. Developing games is a huge financial undertaking, and we wouldn't see half as many titles if they didn't generate their projected profits. But in an attempt to make even more money, microtransactions can bleed into gameplay and alter your experience. This was the fate of DICE's Star Wars Battlefront 2 due to EA's corporate greed. Much of the content in-game was locked behind a paywall, which led to gambling with the RNG loot box system, unless you grind for 40 hours to unlock a single character. The release of this game caused an uproar in the gaming industry, and many people wrote the title off as just another EA failure. No one gave it a second chance. That was until recently. More people are showing interest in the game once again, which has left me confused because many people deemed this game an absolute failure. Despite everything it had against it, the lackluster campaign, the poor release, Battlefront 2 has broken free from the clutches of EA and bloomed into an actual video game, and not just another franchise to print money. DICE deserves a lot of credit here because they fixed a lot of problems with Battlefront 2 alongside developing another AAA IP, Battlefield 5. The game's balancing needed a complete overhaul, and the monetization system needs to be redeveloped from the ground up, and that's exactly what DICE did. Against all odds, this is the rise of Star Wars Battlefront 2. The first Battlefront game left many fans of the Star Wars universe disappointed. There was no single-player campaign for players to enjoy, which wrote off the title for many gamers right from the start. And those who did pick up the game were still left disappointed. The game's main selling point, well, the only selling point, was multiplayer, but it just wasn't that good. From the beginning, there weren't many maps for players to enjoy, and when DICE did eventually add more maps, EA locked them behind DLC, dividing the player base and making it much harder to find a populated server. Not only that, the combat mechanics were simplified to be more appealing for casual audiences, which frustrated even more players. But with Battlefront 2, DICE aimed to address all the previous wrongdoings of the first installment, and it somewhat delivered in that aspect. The game was almost what fans wanted. It had a single-player campaign from the perspective of the Imperial, taking place between the original trilogy and The Force Awakens. The game's multiplayer also included content from all three trilogies, the prequel, the original, and the sequel. More maps, more game modes, better launch content, and no season pass set this game up to be a massive release. The lack of a season pass was the game's biggest announcement. No more player division if you didn't buy the DLC. Every player would get all the maps for free. But this would come at a cost, and a big one too. Like with most games that lack a season pass, developers and publishers start exploring alternate avenues to make money. And this leads down the path of microtransactions, which is fair enough. As many know, game development is expensive, and microtransactions aren't going anywhere because players need to have that new skin. But what if it alters gameplay? The game was looking fantastic, it was exactly what everyone wanted, and it could have been so great from launch if EA hadn't screwed it up. The way the game's progression was developed encouraged notorious amounts of grinding from players to get any form of unlock. Iconic heroes and villains in the Star Wars universe were locked behind this. If you wanted to play Darth Vader, well, I'll see you in 40 hours. And for some impatient players, EA got exactly what they wanted. Their money. They would buy these loot boxes with real money and get not only cosmetics, but also in-game items known as star cards, buffs, giving those who bought these boxes a clear advantage over those who refused to pay more than $60 for a game. This system was clearly pay to win, favouring those who gambled with the loot boxes for star cards, because this was all RNG, random luck, which meant players could spend hundreds to finally get what they were after. Have you ever wondered why people hate EA so much as a publisher? No, of course not, you already know, but for those who don't, it's because of situations like this. They have upset players numerous times, and now with Star Wars Battlefront 2, EA achieved the most downvoted comment in Reddit history. This was a response to the outcry from players about the grind of this $60 game. The intent is to provide players with a sense of pride and accomplishment for unlocking different heroes. And everyone saw through these lies, which is why this comment has a score of minus 683,000. The gaming industry gets so much flack from the mainstream media, and most of the time it really frustrates players. These big media corporations ask the same silly questions. Do video games cause violence is a big one. But thankfully, it's not all bad when the media industry chime in their opinions, because with Battlefront's microtransaction controversy, the negative publicity given by these media outlets coerced EA into disabling microtransactions, reducing the grinding time, and finally revamping the progression and economical systems in the game. Though the biggest factor was probably the response from Belgium, who banned loot boxes completely and launched an investigation on both Battlefront 2 and Overwatch to see if the loot box systems in these games were a form of unlicensed gambling. Their argument was that players had no idea what was in the box until it had been bought and opened. After this massive outcry, EA had no choice but to respond. They completely removed the pay-to-win aspect of Battlefront 2. Now, the game still does incorporate a loot box system, but this system is no longer tied to the progression of the game and is purely for cosmetics. These boxes can't be bought by players anymore either. They can only be earned by doing in-game challenges, reaching milestones, and being active. For the most part, redemption had begun, but sadly, most of the damage was already done. The game was already written off by many players who didn't bat it a second thought. But DICE weren't finished, or prepared to give up easily. All the heroes and villains are now available right from the start, and you're now rewarded for playing the game how you like, now that weapons and modifications can be unlocked by ranking classes. Not only this, but EA lived up to the promise of free DLC. This DLC gave players new maps to play, more cosmetics to unlock, but by far one of the biggest additions to the game was a completely new game mode, Capital Supremacy. This game mode is essentially Battlefield's Conquest mode in a Star Wars scenario. The main aim is to destroy the enemy's capital ship over a large-scale battle. A battle with 40 players with 12 AI each to support the teams. This update is one of the numerous content additions DICE has added to the game. A big factor for the resurgence of Battlefront 2 has to be the updates that released alongside the new films. The most recent update being alongside the release of The Rise of Skywalker. This update gave content relevant to the film, such as an entire new planet and new playable heroes and villains. These updates, alongside a lot of quality of life tweaks, have made the game pretty much playable. Some people always have a bad idea about this game because of the way it launched. I myself was like that too. But as more and more people asked me to play it, it has really opened my eyes to see that Battlefront 2 has become an actual game people can enjoy. If we think about this situation logically, this was the sacrifice that the gaming industry needed, and with some TLC, DICE resurrected Battlefront 2. Publishers need to understand that milking a franchise, creating a pay-to-win situation in game worlds we adore is not acceptable. Battlefront 2 has taught publishers this, and actually creating a good game is much more valuable than trying to drain money from customers. EA most likely didn't make the profits they were hoping for with Battlefront 2. They thought that we'd just bow down and accept that in order to play some of our favourite characters in the Star Wars universe, we'd need to buy them, after spending $60 up front. But we stood together, and with the help of bad publicity, changed the industry for the better. And we got a heck of a good game out of it too. Thank you for watching my video on the rise of Star Wars Battlefront 2. If you enjoyed, be sure to subscribe to see more content like this. Tell me, are you as surprised as I am that Battlefront 2 had such a comeback? Was there anything important that I missed or you wish that I'd mentioned? Please let me know in the comments below, and if you like seeing video game redemption stories, please watch The Rise of No Man's Sky by clicking the end screen card right now.